The rain came sideways off the harbor, turning the narrow street into a corridor of light and water. Lila Moreno pulled her hood tighter and kept walking, her shoes slapping the puddles like a second heartbeat. The night shift at Portsmouth Private had ended an hour ago, but the smell of disinfectant still clung to her. Every step toward the old apartment building felt heavier than the one before. A reflection moved behind her in the shop window. She stopped. So did it. She pretended to check her phone, angling the screen like a mirror. A man's outline, tall, hooded, unhurried, stayed in the glow of a street lamp half a block away. Her pulse spiked. The street was empty except for the hum of rain and the hiss of the ocean wind. She quickened her pace, keys in one pocket, phone in the other. Third floor walk-up, no elevator. Maya was upstairs, probably curled beneath the pink blanket Lila had found at a thrift store. She pictured her daughter's small hand clutching that stuffed bear. The thought steadied her for exactly 3 seconds. The footsteps returned, soft, deliberate. Lila turned a corner, almost running now. A metal gate blocked the shortcut to her building. She rattled it. Locked. Her breath came fast, white in the cold. The man was closer. She could feel his presence more than see it. She unlocked her phone, hands trembling. She scrolled to her friend Jess's contact and typed without thinking. Please help. Someone's following me. 2 and 21 Harbor Street. Please. Rain hit the screen. Her thumb slipped. Send. The phone buzzed once. Message delivered. She ducked into the shadow of a stairwell, watching the street. Nothing moved except the rain. A beat of silence. Then another sound. Faint, mechanical. A car engine idling somewhere beyond the corner. 2 headlights slid across the wet pavement and stopped. A black SUV. Her phone vibrated again. Unknown number. She froze. Didn't answer. Inside the vehicle, someone was watching. She felt it before she saw the faint blue light of another phone illuminating a man's face. He was reading something. Her message. Lila ran. The staircase to her apartment creaked under her weight. She slammed the door, locked both bolts, and pressed her back against it. The sound of her breathing filled the room. Maya stirred in the bedroom but didn't wake. The clock on the microwave blinked 11:54 p.m. Rain drummed against the windows like restless fingers. Outside, an engine cut off. Silence followed, thick, unnatural. Then came the first knock, a pause, then the doorbell. She edged toward the peephole. Through the blur of rain and streetlight, a figure stood under the awning. Tall, composed, black suit wet at the shoulders. In his hand, a phone screen glowing with her own message. Are you Lila Moreno? His voice was calm. Not the voice of a stranger on a dark street, but of someone used to being obeyed. She didn't answer. Her fingers tightened on the lock. Someone was following you, he said. He won't be anymore. Lightning flashed, catching the planes of his face, the scar along the jaw, the cold precision of his gaze. Somewhere behind him, 2 SUVs waited, engines low, lights dimmed. Lila's breath shook. She realized this man hadn't found her by accident. And 12 minutes after she sent that desperate text, he was standing at her door. The hallway light flickered once and went out. Only the thin glow from the street lamp filtered through the rain-streaked window, washing the walls in a restless amber. Lila's hand hovered over the chain lock. The air smelled of damp wood and the faint sweetness of baby shampoo from Maya's room. Her fingers trembled, not from the cold, from the quiet certainty that whoever stood outside was no ordinary man. I'm not here to hurt you, he said, his tone measured, European, each word deliberate. Open the door. The way he said it wasn't a plea, it was a statement, a decision already made. Lila's instinct screamed no, but then Maya stirred, a small cough from the next room. Every protective muscle in her body came alive. She unlatched the chain halfway. The sound was soft, but he heard it. A pause, then his voice again, lower now. There's a man outside, in the alley. My people have him. You were right to be afraid. Her breath caught. How do you know that? Because he followed you from the hospital. And because he works for someone I know. The last word carried a weight that didn't belong to strangers. Lila opened the door 3 inches, just enough to see him clearly. Rain still clung to his shoulders. His black tie loosened slightly at the collar, like he'd come straight from a meeting no one dared interrupt. His eyes, pale gray under the light, moved past her, scanning the interior with silent calculation. When they finally met hers, they weren't cold. They were controlled, the kind of calm that came from someone who had already walked through fire. Please, she said, voice breaking. My daughter. He nodded once. I know. That was all. No promise, no threat, just knowledge. Unsettling and somehow reassuring. Lila stepped back. The door opened wider. He entered without sound, closing it behind him. The room shrank around his presence. The soft ticking of the clock filled the silence. Rain pressed against the windows like static. Gianluca Rossi, she didn't know his name yet, stood in the center of her living room, dripping onto the worn linoleum. His eyes swept over everything. The pile of medical books on the table, the single-framed photo of Leela and Maya at the pier, the cracked lamp that buzzed faintly near the wall. He removed his gloves, placed them neatly on the counter. The gesture was practiced, ritualistic, like a man who never let emotion dictate movement. You live alone? He asked. She hesitated. Yes, with my daughter. He nodded. Good, keep it that way for now. For now? He looked toward the window. Outside, a pair of headlights cut through the rain, then vanished. The man following you, he said quietly. He's not random. He works for a name you might recognize. Lila crossed her arms, trying to steady her breathing. I don't know anyone who... Russo. The word hit her like a slap. Her stomach turned cold. My ex-husband? His eyes flicked toward her, reading her like a file. Evan Russo, you still speak to him? No, not in 2 years. He nodded slowly, as if confirming something already known. Then his gaze shifted, not suspicious but heavier, burdened. He's the reason you were followed. Lila shook her head. Evan's gone. He disappeared. People like him don't disappear. They hide behind others. He stepped closer. The scent of rain and cologne followed him. Restrained, expensive, not what she expected. Lila's pulse hammered in her neck. This man didn't move like a savior or a killer. He moved like both. Who are you? She whispered. He studied her face for a long moment, then said, someone who lost everything because of that name. For the first time, something flickered in his expression. Pain, quickly buried. He took out his phone, swiped once, then turned the screen toward her. A text, hers, glowed in the dim light. Please help. Someone's following me. 221 Harbor Street, please. You sent this to the wrong number, he said, but it reached the right man. Lila looked at the message again, her own words suddenly foreign, suspended between them like a fragile thread. The realization settled slowly. She had summoned a storm, and it was already inside her home. From the bedroom, Maya murmured something in her sleep. The man's gaze softened almost imperceptibly. She's safe, he said. That's all that matters tonight. Lightning flashed again, reflecting off the rain pooled on the floor around his shoes. Lila swallowed hard. Why are you helping us? He hesitated, not from doubt, but from memory. When he finally spoke, his voice carried the echo of a promise made long ago. Because once, someone didn't help me. The rain hadn't stopped. It pressed against the windows like it wanted in, like it could smell fear. Lila stood near the couch, arms wrapped around herself. Her clothes were still damp, the fabric heavy with the scent of the night. Gianluca Rossi stood by the door, phone to his ear. His voice low, measured, and precise, the voice of a man who never repeated an order. Don't touch him yet. I'll be down in 5 minutes. He ended the call, sliding the phone into his pocket. They caught the man who followed you, he said without looking at her. He's alive. For now. Lila's stomach tightened. Alive? You mean your men? Stopped him before he reached your door. He finally turned. His face was unreadable, a calm surface over something darker. Stay here, lock the door after me. She stepped forward. Wait, who was he? Why was he? He paused at the threshold, hand on the doorknob. You'll get your answers, just keep your daughter safe. Then he was gone. The door clicked shut. For a long moment, the apartment was only the sound of rain and the small, rhythmic breathing of Maya behind the bedroom door. The alley behind 221 Harbor Street smelled of oil, garbage, and wet iron. A single SUV's headlights cut through the downpour, illuminating a man kneeling against the wall, his wrists bound with zip ties, face bruised, mouth bleeding. Gian approached slowly, shoes splashing through puddles. His men stepped back to make room. Name? Gian asked. The captive spat rain and blood. Doesn't matter. Gian crouched, his voice low. It will. The man looked up, jaw shaking. I was just collecting. She's got nothing to do with it. Who sent you? Silence. Gian nodded to one of his men. A single kick landed against the wall beside the captive's head, close enough to send plaster raining down, not enough to kill. Who sent you? The man swallowed. A guy named Fallon. Works the docks. We handle debts, small ones. Her ex owes him close to 30 grand. Her ex? Evan Russo. The name hit the air like static. Jian's eyes narrowed. He straightened slowly. Russo. Yeah, the man said quickly. But not that Russo. Not the brother. Not the big guy. This one's just nobody. Gambles, drinks, owes everyone. We were told to scare her a little, make him show up, that's all. Jian's jaw tensed, a muscle flickering beneath his cheek. The word brother lodged in his mind like a thorn. Marco Russo has a brother named Evan, he said, mostly to himself. The captive blinked. You know Marco? Jian didn't answer. His silence was heavier than any threat. He turned his back to the man, looking into the dark end of the alley where the rain met the sea. In his chest, something old stirred, a memory wrapped in the scent of gunpowder and betrayal. Let him go, Jian said finally. His men hesitated. Boss? He's not the one we want. The zip ties snapped. The man fell forward, gasping, too afraid to run. Tell Fallon, Jian said quietly, the debt's cleared. No one touches that woman or her child again. If he disagrees, he looked over his shoulder, eyes cold. Remind him what happens when people disagree with me. The man nodded frantically. Yes, sir. Jian walked back toward the SUV. The door opened before he reached it. Inside, his driver waited, engine humming low. Home? The driver asked. Jian stared through the windshield, rain tracing down the glass like veins. Not yet, Harbor Street? Lila startled at the sound of the key turning in the lock. For a moment she thought it was Evan, the ghost she'd spent years trying to forget. But when the door opened, it was Jian again, coat dripping, eyes harder than before. He set his gloves on the counter, his movements deliberate, controlled. He's gone, he said. Gone? He won't bother you again. Lila searched his face for anything human.